It is one of the biggest unsolved mysteries of my career.
The Rothschilds, more specifically Lord Jacob Rothschild, recently passed away on February 26 at the age of 87. Just hearing that name, Rothschild, might make some people think, oh, evil, rich, Illuminati, corrupt, New World Order, Freemason. But do you even know who they are and how they made their money? They started off as a relatively normal family, just trying to make ends meet and grow a business almost 300 years ago, with Amschel Moses Bauer opening a counting house in Frankfurt, Germany in 1743, the early version of an accounting firm. Above the door outside his office was a sign with an eagle and a red shield on it. And the office came to be locally known as the Red Shield Firm, translated to German, Rote Shield, which eventually got shortened to Rothschild. Origin story right here. Amschel passed his business down to his son Meyer, who changed his last name from Bauer to Rothschild after the store. And this is where it all begins. Meyer was pretty business savvy and just hungry to make it big, so he wanted to scale hard. His dad's business mainly dealt with bookkeeping, dealing coins, and lending money to average Joes. Until one time he scored a lending job with the government and got paid a fat bag for it. So he doubled down on that, focusing all of his efforts on lending money to governments and kings, which was way more profitable than lending to citizens. The loan amounts were astronomically bigger than average folk for obvious reasons. But the real cherry on top was that these loans were secured by the people, the taxpayers of the country. So when a regular Joe takes out a loan and can't pay it in time, they default on it, and the loaner is left chasing after Joe until they can pay it back. Government loans are backed by taxpayer money. A government will always have a virtually endless supply of money rolling in from collected taxes that they can use to pay off their loans. So they can just raise taxes in their country to get more money if they're ever a little short on paying off a loan. In this sense, governments can never lose, and neither do people who loan them money. You always hear of governments in debt trillions of dollars and might be asking yourself, in debt to who? That would be to central banks, who arguably modeled this structure of non-stop government loaning from the original Rothschild firm. A bit of an infinite money glitch that won't end well for us. Meyer saw big bucks flowing in from this business model, so he taught his 5 sons his methods and sent them on an expedition across Europe to Germany, England, France, Austria, and Italy to set up similar counting houses in each. Rinse and repeat. They quickly rose to power and became the richest bankers in each country, having more money than all other banks in those countries combined. Clearly, this strategy was working beautifully. At the time, one business owning banks in multiple different countries was unheard of, and they definitely made the most of it, doing shit like funding both sides of the war and Napoleon's conquest, which is no secret, meaning they probably did the same for the world wars and even conflicts happening today. They helped Brazil pay for its liberation from Portugal, saved the Bank of England from collapse by bailing them out. Just imagine being so rich that the most powerful country in the world at the time comes asking you for money. Pretty much funded the industrialization of America, which was a barren land of cowboys, log cabins, and natives at the time, and also helped Britain buy the Suez Canal, which connects the Mediterranean to the Indian Ocean. When Britain issued the Balfour Declaration in 1917, announcing its support for the establishment of a national home for the Jewish people, Israel, it was addressed to Lionel Walter Rothschild, who also helped fund this move. So what's their secret? How do they keep this generational wealth growing so steadily over the centuries? Well, when Meyer, the OG businessman behind the government loans, passed away, he outlined a very specific system in his will, in which the wealth can only get passed down the male line of lineage, meaning females who married outside the family were completely left out of the money. I think you know where this is going. Because of this rule in his will, all future descendants had a tendency to marry within the family, mostly their second or even first cousins and the occasional niece. And that's exactly how they kept it within the family to this day. It's speculated that a Rothschild may actually be the real richest person in the world, counting in the trillions, using intentional tricks of the trade like asset hiding, trust funds, and shell companies to hide their true wealth. So while everyone's focused on Musk versus Bezos battling it out head to head for the richest person title, the real top dog is quietly sitting in the shadows, tapping their fingers together, thinking of their next move.
Within 2 generations, the New World Order will seem perfectly natural. Dissenting wouldn't even make sense. By then, children aren't born to parents. Everyone is sterilized at birth. The Shadow Masters keep tight control on population growth. Children are created by DNA genetically optimized for desirable qualities like submissiveness, agreeability, and lack of curiosity. They are incubated, educated, and assigned a role in society. When they're no longer useful, they're euthanized. This will seem humane. Letting someone live for years sick and old will seem cruel, and that's the cycle. The architects of the New World Order have finally achieved the utopia they've always wanted. Now, Serge Monast has attracted plenty of critics and skeptics. Some people call him a kook. Other people call him a prophet. Unfortunately, we won't know who's right until it's too late.
Cloud seeding, we've talked about that quite a bit.
Which is so funny because the concept of chemtrails, if you were to bring that up 3 years ago, people would be like, there's no such thing. And then it's like all of a sudden we had our senators in Florida proposing to ban weather manipulation.
Yeah.
If Dubai does cloud seeding, they steal water from other regions so that they can water their dry regions. Like that's like a thing that they're in trouble for.
I mean, I remember in Africa they would try to plant a bunch of trees to change the climate. Like it would bring in different weather patterns.
That sounds way smarter than spraying stuff in the
No,
air.
it was brilliant. It was like they changed complete areas of drought by irrigation and planting.
That's crazy. That documentary, Geoengineering, and this dude, he collected a sample when he saw that the planes were, because you see the line. And so that day he set out a bunch of stuff and collected whatever was falling down, looked under a microscope, and it had all these elements of a patent that the US government has for cloud seeding and weather manipulation.
Oh, wow.
And it's like, stop doing it!
Quit doing this.
So I'm sure by now you've probably seen photos and or video of the USS Preble destroyer firing or test firing a high energy laser system that they've called the Helios in order to practice using this thing, because it's going to be capable of taking out drones, could potentially be capable of destroying warships. It looks literally like something that you would see in Star Wars, like when the Death Star destroyed Alderaan, for example. Now, they released an image without a date on it or a location because they wanted to make sure people didn't know when the test firing actually took place, because it's possible that this test was done a very long time ago and they're just now releasing it because they've had time to refine it. But the demonstration was used so that they could verify and validate the functionality, performance, and capability of the high energy laser system with the integrated optical dazzler and surveillance system against an unmanned aerial vehicle target, according to reports. Now, the Helios weapon is capable of using a 60 kilowatt high energy laser that can engage targets at the speed of light and is developed by the US company Lockheed Martin. It can literally obliterate targets, including drones, fast attack craft, and missiles by melting or overheating them. In addition to being able to be used as a weapon, it can also be used to disrupt intelligence and reconnaissance sensors. The United Kingdom has a similar weapon system that they've called the Dragonfire that they've been using against aerial targets over the past year as well.
In 2021, the Pentagon budget was $750 billion. And since 1996, the American military has received $8.5 trillion in taxpayer dollars and never has had to account for any of it. In 2016, an investigation discovered that the Pentagon was covering up $125 billion in so-called wasted dollars. Now, if the military budget comes up short in a given year, whatever number that is just written in. It's called a plug, and then boom, balanced budget.
You try that with your taxes and see how that works out for you.
Well, they throw you in jail. But there's evidence that the money is not being wasted. It's actually part of the Pentagon's black budget. In 1995, at the Preparedness Expo, Phil Schneider blew the whistle on one of the most secret black budget programs in history.
On the southwest part of the Archuleta Mesa, we built an underground facility, a better part of 3 cubic miles hollowed out underground. We were in the process of the early stages of building. We drilled 4 large tunnel-like holes. Some of them ran 2.5 miles under the surface. The equipment kept coming up broken. So we wanted to go down. We wanted to send somebody down there, a human observer, or human observers in this case, find out what was going on.
Sorry guys, but I gotta talk about the transatlantic telegraph cable again. So yesterday, Brian and I were clowning on the idea that they laid a cable across the Atlantic Ocean 1,500 miles long using 2 wooden ships back in the 1850s for a telegraph. Yeah, I know. We're stupid for not believing that, and so I'm gonna apologize.
I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody.
The only thing I'm sorry about is that we did not have more facts to point out how ridiculous the story is. So check this out. They didn't invent the telegraph until 1844. So in 1858, only 14 years later, they decided they needed a cable to go across the whole ocean to take advantage of this technology. Now here's the thing. In the 1850s, they invented the telephone. The first patent on the telephone was not secured until 1876 by Alexander Graham Bell. But still, the technology was there, and it was clearly much better because we still use it today. Now, this existing cable could not be used for telephone communication. So when did they lay the first telephone cable? Not till 1956, almost 100 years later. Why not? Well, you might say you can use radio waves to transmit telephone messages. Well, you can also use radio waves to transmit telegraph messages. So, what's the rub here? Why? I don't know, guys. Call me a skeptic, call me stupid, call me whatever you want. But I just don't believe it.
What is that?
That's not a plane.
What is that?
Dad, can we run that way?
Hang on. What on earth is that? Something that's shooting out in front of it now. There's two of them. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Oh my God, guys, you are looking... I don't know what you're looking at, but they're UFOs. If ever there's an unidentified flying object, that's that.
Dad, can we go that way? Can we go that way?
There's two of them flying next to each other.
Dad, can we...
Oh my God, you guys, I don't think you realise how lucky you are to even witness something like this. Look at them.
Oh my God.
What is that?
Can I quickly go that way a bit?
Yeah, go where you want, mate.
I'm running over. But I'm on the golf course. Can I try and run over like really close?
I've never seen anything like it.
Dad?
Yeah?
Is that a road there? Yeah. Onto the guy on the field, because that'll be right above us.
Paranormal caught on camera. This one's you. Look at this. Wow. Look at them, they're twirling. Can you see that?
Yeah. It's gone.
They've just gone into the clouds.
And the back. Dad, can we please go to that green bit?
You ain't get there for it.
I will.
I've never seen it. Honestly, I don't think you actually realise. You talk about UFO synths. They are actual proper UFOs. There is nothing. What could be flying like that with those? They're all flashing now in the clouds. Look, can you see that in the clouds?
Yeah. Going down.
Where's it gone? I've lost it.
It's back. It's back. It's back.
Oh yeah. Where?
Look.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. 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 Yeah.
That can't go back on that hill yet.
Yes, mate. They're two UFOs. That's not a plane. That is nothing with a human being in it, is it? Look. Look at them. Look at that.
It looks flat as well, and UFOs are like flat.
They're like, mate. They're like almost like orbs. Massive orbs. I have no idea. They're both super bright lights with big tails. Like, it's almost like when I first saw it, I thought, no, is that like a firework or something? Yeah. And then it went down and started going up again. Wow, look at this. How mad.
I don't think that instantly.
Yeah, it might do, mate.
It's going to go on forever.
It's amazing. But what are those bits? It's almost like fire coming out of the back. Now they're like disappearing and flashing.
I want to talk about crop circles. And I'm going to try to do it without breaking out into that One Image and Heap song, but wish me luck. Growing up, it was pretty common to think that these were just made by, kids or maybe even adults that were bored, and they would take boards out into the field and just mash down the plants until you had a pattern. So I never really thought that much about them. Then I started falling down a rabbit hole. And let me show you some of the things I found. So one way that you can really easily tell a genuine crop circle is by the way that the plants are actually laying. This looks more like when water flows over the banks of a river and lays the grass down gently and I want to say politely. I don't know why. If you were to do this with boards, and you can see it in examples of those man-made crop circles, the plants get all crunched up. It doesn't lay smooth and nice like this. It's very like crinkly and crude. But the thing that really drove it home for me was this. This is what plants normally look like. They have these nodes on them, and they're pretty small. But crop circle plants have elongated nodes. They're long, right? Popped like popcorn is a term that I've seen used a lot to describe them. The only explanation that I've seen for how this would occur is radiation. So that's interesting. Oh, and another fun fact, crop circles also are way more likely to appear at a place where there is an abundance of chalk. I don't know why chalk, but I do think it's interesting. So once I went the route of that there were genuine crop circles, I started finding stuff like this. And he's spooky, that's true, but he also has a message. The message is less spooky. Let me read it for you. By the way, this is binary code and it was translated by a computer, so I believe it to be accurate, but take that for what you will. Here's what it says. Beware the bearers of false gifts and their broken promises. Much pain, but still time. Believe there is good out there. We oppose deception. Conduit closing. Goosebumps. Every time. Now I have way more questions than I have answers. Mainly, who exactly were they warning us about? I don't know, but it keeps me up.
This is from New Jersey last night. If this glowing heavenly Merkaba in the sky doesn't inspire awe within you, I don't know. Do you have a pulse? Heavenly glowing rainbow. In Hebrew, Mer means light. Ka means spirit. Ba means body, so Merkaba. The union of light, spirit, and body. The interlocking tetrahedrons represent balance between masculine and feminine. This has been described for centuries in all of the holy texts, and now we're seeing it with our own eyes. Described as a vehicle for ascension and higher consciousness, don't you feel things shifting? In my own life, I've been experiencing so much spiritual growth. When I see this, I feel so much hope and excitement about what is yet to come. What do you feel?
Right guys, we got some very interesting footage coming from the coast of California on the 2nd of February, and this was looking west. So apparently these orbs were appearing in, I've sped up the footage a little bit so we can see more of what's going on, 39,000 feet. These orbs were appearing in and flashing out in all sorts of kind of strange manners, and we kind of just keep an eye out here and look. There's an amalgamation of 3 to 4, like of some weird things going on here. I mean, there are some sort of suggestions whether this will be some sort of flare activity, but this high up of what the OP is suggesting doesn't make much sense. And we've seen this kind of formation before, again in like constellation sightings, and especially ones out of China. I'll try and link it here if you can see, where they kind of appear in step by step and move. But they really do look like the plasmodial activity that we're quite fond of. And there's another piece of footage, like look at this stuff, mate. Look at that. That is not normal, bruv, right? And it literally looks like the plasmoid orbs that we've seen so frequently. And I'll show you another piece of footage in a moment of another aircraft around the same sort of area, apparently looking down on the ocean and then seeing all sorts of lights. But whether they're from boats, I'm not sure, but we'll check it out right now. Look. And once again, an amalgamation of strange formations of lights. But I'm not too sure about this one, because I know we do see lights on the top of water, especially when sailors and stuff are trying to hunt for squid. If you shine lights and stuff, apparently it attracts back and forth. Especially night fishing as well, to see schools of fish and whatnot. I'm not entirely sure, I'm not a sailor, but if you are quite privy to that, then let me know in the comments. But very strange either way, and the strangeness to do with the airlines that we've been, have flown around recently, is very strange. There's a lot of weird happenings going on up in the sky, especially high up, and more pilots are reporting stuff, which is very, very interesting. It's good to see. But yeah, I thought it was interesting. You guys let me know what you think. This is some crazy stuff. Alright guys, we got some strange footage coming out of Miami of a strange Dorito-shaped craft, again, flying over the sky, silent, much like the one we've just seen over Brazil. Yeah, this thing was kind of just gliding its way over, not really making much sense. You can't really make too much of a shape out of this object, and much like the Brazilian aircraft that I'll show you in a second, it's flying back to front, so the points aren't flying face on, it's like the flat edge moving, which is kind of weird and a strange observation of what this thing is. And I don't really know, unless someone else knows, of what sort of craft would be built in this sort of arrangement, because it is a weird shape. And this is the one that came out of Brazil, of the suspected TR-3B aircraft, again with the light in the middle, the weird arrangement of dots. But yeah, it's very, very interesting regardless of the whole situation at hand. And these weird triangular objects keep popping up. So I don't know what Doritos has got going on right now, but the ad campaigns are kicking off, mate. So yeah, mate, we got some interesting footage resurfacing online coming from Brazil, right? Of a triangular object floating through the sky, making no noise, right? A suspected TR-3B sighting. I've seen something like this over Warminster about 4 to 5 years ago, and it blew my mind. But mine was rotating, and it had oddly shaped lights. This one has more kind of equally placed lights, shall we say. So for those of you that don't know, TR-3B apparently is a secret backwards engineered aircraft that governments have made via retrieved UFO technology that's been crashed. And this object has been seen around globally for so many freaking years, man. Different variations as well, so maybe there's different sort of levels of upgrades and stuff. I'm not entirely sure. But all in all, this is a very cool sighting coming in, man. Like, seeing this in person is kind of mind-blowing. I'm not going to lie, man. Me and my dad were jumping around the garden like a bunch of chimps when we saw this. So, yeah. You guys let me know what you think. Brazil, man. Come on.
Have y'all seen what's happening in Brazil right now? It gets crazier. So let me show you what happened right before this, and we'll come right back to this. This was the sky in Brazil just a few weeks before these massive flood games. And not just this one, I'm about to show you another one. But this right here is insane. And here's another one. And both of these videos were taken in January 2025. One was a week ago and one was like 2 weeks ago. But I mean, look at this. Imagine you're sitting outside and you see this come. So I mean, people who were watching the skies, I mean, I'm sure they could tell that something weird was happening, right? And don't think I'm making a joke of the situation, because I'm not. It's sad, and it's always sad when things like this happen. Fast forward to February, we have 200,000 homes destroyed in Brazil. It's flooding everywhere, and it's so bad in some spots you can't even see anything. These things used to happen once in a lifetime, once in a decade. Now they're happening every single month. And people still have the nerve to say that everything's cool, nothing is going on, you guys. Life as usual. Praying for Brazil, praying for the whole world at this point.
I'm going to show you all a couple cool clips of UFOs here in a second, but the reason that they are cool and you will see them floating around is because they're taken on this camera right here. That is a Nikon P1000 with a 3000mm zoom, and basically all Nikon did was take this camera and put a telescope on it so it can zoom way in. It ain't the best quality ever, like professionals aren't going to use this, but it is pretty freaking good. Like, it's a $1,600 camera. It's not junk. It takes 4K videos and all that other stuff. But anyways, check out this video. So this was a video that I see bounce around, but that's taken on the P1000 camera and zoomed all the way in. That's so cool. That last video was of just the little thing, but you've probably seen this image before, and I think it's cool mainly for the fact that they're using this camera, because like I said, it isn't the greatest quality, but it can zoom way in. So you seen at the beginning of it that it was a little tiny orb, and then whenever he zooms in, I mean, it's so cool looking. It's just so cool. Like, because nobody knows what that, it's fine, buddy. But like, he does a pretty good job. Like, this is freaky looking. I just love stuff like this. It's so cool. Anyways, I thought y'all would see that bounce around on the internet and be like, oh, why is this so special? Why does this keep popping up? Well, it's because it was taken to that camera, and that's a really zoomed in video. But the first video of the little orb, he's actually showing you it on his camera of where he took it, like it's playing back on the camera, and then he shows you the actual video. I can't find the original video at all, but I just still thought y'all would think it was neat, because it's real. Everybody wants clear pictures of him. That's a clear video. It's a pretty good video. So, anyways, have a great day.
Remember they said that 98% of our DNA was junk? That's because they were looking into the helix straight on like this. When you look at it down the top of the helix, we get sacred geometry, all right? This is all your somatic frequencies right here. All right, so this is your DNA helix from the top looking down. This is all your somatic frequencies, and this is all your church windows. So who else is going to be able to explain how the church had the shape of our DNA 1,500 years before Harvard was even established? That's because this is your DNA operating at different frequencies right here. This article talks about DNA as an electromagnetic fractal cavity resonator, its universal sensing, and fractal antenna behavior. This means that your DNA literally connects you to the Father, all right, through the ether. This is going to be your connection to Christ. Now, this is why when we look at the U.S. patent design for a fractal antenna, we get a cross, okay? And that's where cruciform DNA comes from, because it's all your linear DNA, your two-strand DNA folds into cruciform stacks. This is your connection to Christ right here. Here it is again, double-stranded DNA with self-complementary sequences can form cruciform structures, okay? This is how these DNA strands fold, and they connect as an antenna through the ether and electromagnetic forces to the Father. That's why all your rose windows are the same shape as your DNA helix from the top down, because they had the structure of the DNA 1,000 years before Harvard was established. So this is a ResearchGate article of the cross-section of DNA from the top. You see all these colors right here, how they blend into resonance like that? That's all these base pairs on the inside of the DNA structure right here, the helix forming a resonance, right? And they produce color charges, and this is the basis and the building blocks of your DNA structure. And they're all going to form together to form sacred geometry. The same shapes that are in all your stained glass windows. Okay, these are all somatic tones. This is all magnetic resonance, okay, through sound waves and light and energy that interacts with our DNA structures. You can see here right at the top, these are all your vowels, okay? The somatic frequencies are all your vowels. This is a church window, all right? Then we have the Aztec, Egyptian, Hindu, and even CERN, because this can be used for the good or the bad. This was in all of our ancient cultures, and this is what CERN reverse engineered. This is your DNA structure right here from the top. That's another somatic window right there. Because your DNA is an antenna, okay? It connects you to Christ. This is why the Catholic Church had the structure of our DNA 1,000 years before Harvard. I'm not even playing, okay? This is the inside of your DNA. These are all atoms right here and color charges interacting together that bond and produce a magnetic resonance. And it creates a resonance, a magnetic field, and this is what powers all your cells and all your cellular functions.
Color therapy is the original way in which they used to heal people. They used to put people in front of different colored glass and they would begin to heal. And what they would do is they would target a different meridian line with the different color of glass, and that would allow people to heal. A lot of times when you go down to the south, you see blue stained glass windows. Those blue stained glass windows were actually very healing. People would sit in front of that and it would charge them up. It would invigorate the cells, because as that sun hit that blue glass, it would make them heal. And it's interesting because we think about stained glass windows. Remember stained glass windows? Go over to all the cathedrals and they got stained glass windows. Well, each color spectrum heals each different meridian line. Look at that. It's not just by chance, that's for sure. Everything is related to energy, and everything is related to different colors. And when we expose ourselves to different colors, we begin to heal. And this is what Edwin Babbitt was learning in the 17 and 1800s when you go back into his work. He would heal people using all different types of color spectrums. And as somebody just said below, prisms are like chandeliers. Yes, that's exactly what it is. Prisms are very healing.